Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Naranam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Bhagavatam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiraye.
Astam Prayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhagavati Nashike.
So reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 7, Text 11. Again, this is a prosa, no meter, so just try to read it. Tasmin vava kila sape kalaha kulaha shrama puvane vidha kusham kishalaya tulasi kambu buddhi kanda mula palo baharais cha samihamana bhagavata Aradhanam vivikta uparat vishya abilasha uparitopashanam param nivrittim avapa. And then we have the word by word. Tasmin. In that ashram. Vavakila. Indeed. Saha. Bharat Maharaj. Ekalaha. Alone only. Bhula Ashram Upavani. In the gardens situated in Pula Ashram. Vivida Kushama Kishalaya Tulasika Ambuhi. With varieties of flowers. Twigs and tulsi leaves, as well as with water. Kandamula phala upahairai. By offerings of roots, bulbs and fruits. Cha and Samihamanaha. Performing Bhagavataha of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Aradhanam, worshipping. Viviktaha, purified. Uparata, being freed from. Vishaya abhilasha, desire for material sense enjoyment. Uphabrita, increased. Upasamaha, tranquility. Param, transcendental. Nivrittim, satisfaction. Avapa, he obtained. Translation. Purport by Sri Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. In the gardens of Pula Ashram, Maharaj Bharat lived alone and collected a variety of flowers, twigs and tulsi leaves. He also collected the water of the Gandaki river, as well as various roots, fruits and bulbs. With these, he offered food to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva, and, worshipping him, he remained satisfied. In this way, his heart was completely uncontaminated, and he did not have the least desire of material enjoyment. All material desires vanished. In this steady position, he felt full satisfaction and was situated in devotional service. purport. Everyone is searching after peace of mind. This is obtainable only when one is completely freed from the desire for material sense gratification and is engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Patram Pushpam Phalam Tuyam Yomi Bhaktya Prayachati. Worship of the Lord is not at all expensive. One can offer the Lord a leaf, a flower, a little fruit, and some water. The Supreme Lord accepts these offerings when they are offered with love and devotion. In this way, one can become freed from material desires. As long as one maintains material desires, he cannot be happy. As soon as one engages in the devotional service of the Lord, his mind is purified of all material desires. Then one becomes fully satisfied. Savaipung saparod harmo yato bhakti radoshaje vayutukya pratyata yatma suprasidati vasudeve bhagavati bhakti yoga prayojita janyatya ashuvaryakam yanam chayat ayutukam. The supreme occupation, dharma, for all humanity is that by which man can attain the loving devotional service unto the transcendental Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted in order to completely satisfy the self. By rendering devotional service unto the personality of God, Shri Krishna, one immediately acquires causeless knowledge and detachment from the world. Bhagavatam 1, 2, 6, 7. These are the instructions given in Srimad Bhagavatam, the supreme Vedic literature. One may not be able to go to Pura Ashram, but wherever one is, one can happily render devotional service to the Lord by adopting the process mentioned above. Chakshuram Vilatamena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Namo Vishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Pramayam Dadati Swaparatikam Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyecha Paritanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Translation again. In the gardens of Buddha Ashram, Maharaja Bharat lived alone and collected a variety of flowers, twigs and tulsi leaves. He also collected the water of the Gandaki river, as well as various roots, fruits and bulbs. With these he offered food to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva, and worshipping him, he remained satisfied. In this way his heart was completely uncontaminated and he did not have the least desire for material enjoyment. All material desires vanished. In this steady position he felt full satisfaction and was situated in devotional service. So Prabhupada starts his purport by saying, everyone is searching after peace of mind. This could be like a advertisement for some course on wellness and well-being, right, in today's world. Because this is something which is always a truth. Everyone is searching after peace of mind. And this text describes how Maharaja Bharat, he found that peace. He lived a very simple life. He lived at Pula Ashram, close to the Gandaki river, and he simply worshipped the Lord in a very simple way. But by that worship, he became completely satisfied, and as described here, there were not any material desire in his heart, and that's why he was, peaceful. And of course, the story will continue. And soon he will rescue the deer from the river, baby deer, and his life will change. But which is interesting, as soon there is attachment, there is again anxiety and worries, and his mind was disturbed. Now he was peaceful. Being alone. Anyhow. So, but Prabhupada makes the point that everyone is searching after peace. And of course, so from this text we can, derive several lessons. So everyone is searching for peace. And how to attain that peace, basically there is this two-step formula given. What is this two-step formula, which is given in the shloka?
Render service to the Lord.
Uh-huh.
And
Be free from
be free from it.
Yes, yeah. Give up material desire, worship Krishna, then you'll be happy. That's basically what the two-step formula is here, which is given in this text. And there are other two more statements that this kind of service is parodharmo. This is what actually is the nature of the soul, and bhakti is easy. But that's another statement. So we'll try to go through these. So let's start with the first one: peace of mind. Everyone is searching. Searched by all. Are you also looking for peace of mind? I'm looking for peace of mind. That's true. But in today's world, people think that they find peace and happiness by what?
Sense.
Yeah, sensual consuming, buying things like Friday. So crazy. You see these pictures in America, people running to the TV screen, So such a crazy civilization, no? Buying things. We spoke about this before, but maybe we mention it again here. There is this nice saying here: we buy things we don't need with money we don't have to impress people we don't like. So good. What? We don't need these things actually, and we don't really have the money. We just want to impress people we don't even like so much. So it's in other words, it's very artificial. It's very external, very artificial, because we have a complete misunderstanding of how to be happy. It's just. Of course, we are misguided by civilization because society. That's kind of normal, right? That's what you do. Ist es normal, nur weil alle es tun? Kennst du den? Also, die Fantastischen Vier. Also, German Hip-Hop-Band. Der hat den Song. Ist es normal, nur weil alle es tun? Ist es normal, nur weil alle es tun? It's something normal just because everyone is doing that. But that's usually because the mainstream goes in one direction. Everyone thinks that's normal. That's how you live your life. That's how you become happy. You have to get all the nice things to enjoy and then to be nice. So people think if I only could have $100,000, I could do what I want and then I will be happy. Just have to get something that I can do and then I will be happy. Others believe if I could only do what I want, I could have what I need and then be satisfied. But actually, life is not so much about possessing stuff, it's more about being. It's more about who you are. And that's kind of also, like we think of getting, like having, doing, and then we can be happy. But actually it's the other way around. We just can be happy. And then when we're happy, then we do something which satisfies, and whether we have something or not, it's not so important. But we, in our civilization, we put first having, and then when we have, we can do, and then finally we can be happy. It's the other way around. It's happiness, satisfaction is much more something which is about our state of mind, how it's decision. We have to decide. We can just simply decide. Okay, let me be happy. But it's not dependent on what we get outside actually. That's why Krishna conscious motto is. What is our motto? Chanting be happy. Yes. They come back to Godhead. and simple living, I think. These are our mottos. So, simple living means that we have enough time for that which is truly essential, and that's cultivate our relationship to God, right? To invest time in that relationship with Krishna, that loving exchange with God, which ultimately gives us satisfaction. That's Premarupa, it says that this is actually our true nature, to love Krishna, to serve Krishna, and that will make us happy. So if this is the case, then a wise person would invest more time in that. Right? But unfortunately, most people in this world don't even know about that. They don't even know that this is actually what makes you happy. Not to speak of engaging in that kind of service. So yeah, instead people, they want to just get more and more and satisfy their desires and their urges and senses. And as we know, it's like a blazing fire, constantly pouring ghee on it. The fire becomes thicker and thicker. So there's another nice statement here. In a consumer society, there are inevitably two kinds of slaves: the prisoners of addiction and the prisoners of envy. Like, if everyone is consuming, then some become slave of addiction because they want more and more and more, and those who are not able to get and buy stuff because they're not as rich, then they become slave of envy because they envy the others who get more and more. So, but in both cases they are slaves, slaves of lust or slaves of envy. And how can one become happy in such a situation? If you're always full of desires, you always want more and more and more, and you envy others who have more. How can there be happiness? Very difficult. That's why a simple life, and that's what we do here in the ashram also. Of course, devotees also outside, they're meant to adopt this principle of simple living, high thinking, as much as possible. But in the ashram, it's kind of given, more or less. Of course, sometimes I compare it to ashram life in India and ashram life in Switzerland. Like, and I live like a king here. Compared to India. And I have lived in ashrams in India, more than like real ashram, like 1.5 years or so I stayed in ashrams in India. And sometimes, sharing rooms with others, and the only thing you have is a simple bed. A bed means it's a wooden, and there is no mattress. There's it's just a bed, like a wooden, and then there's a straw mat on it, maybe, like a thin one. And that's it. That's all what is in the room. There is no chair, there is no table, there is no wash machine, there is no electricity is sometimes there. And then you just, you wash your clothes every day in the bucket, and you hang it. And then there is only and you live somewhere in a jungle, and you're surrounded with rice paddy field and palm trees. And the only thing you do is you go to the morning program, and then you do your service, and then you chant your rounds, and maybe you read some Bhagavad Gita, and then you go to the evening program, and then you take rest. And there is nothing else you do. And then you go on for months and years, and you live a very simple life. You have maybe 2 or 3 sets of clothes, and you have a Gita and something to write, and that's it. That's simple life, Of course, here in the West, we have our nice room and a cupboard full of stuff, and with nice fancy devices, and then sometimes we go to the city for shopping and doing this and that, and going here and there. And it's different, Nevertheless, still, even our life compared to what people in general have, it's very simple. Also, again, most people who live in Switzerland, they have a lot of stuff, they have a lot of money, their bank balance full of money. But most of us, we don't have. I don't have much money. Get some pocket money. Maybe was Christmas, and I got some But compared to if you would compare to an average Swiss person, I'm a beggar, like financially speaking. I mean, it's like, well, financially speaking, right? And people would question, what about the future? How do you take care of yourself? What you will do in old age. But simple living actually is a very nice way, because that simple life gives you a very peaceful mind in a way. Like you don't have much, you don't have to worry about much. Like you don't have to pay any bills or pay taxes. It's very simple in that sense also. Once I had an interaction with a Christian monk, Brother David Steiner-Rost. He's, I think he's now 99 years, maybe I think this year he becomes 99 years old, almost 100. And he has been living in a monastery for 70 years, or more, plus 70 years. It's like, that's like a senior devotee, okay? Someone is around for 10 years, 10 years, 70 years. That's really. So he made a point, he made a nice point. He said, if we don't differentiate between what we want and what we need, we lose sight of our goal. There should be some discrimination. What do I want and what do I need? If I don't discriminate, we lose sight of our goal. Then our needs, mostly imaginary, increase, our gratitude dwindle, and our true joy with it. So if you focus on the so-called needs, which are you just imagine, then gratitude goes down, and we just want more and more and more. And with that also our happiness. So then monastic training reversed this process. Monastic life is just the opposite. The monk strives to want less and less, and thus become more and more grateful for what he has. The monks strive to have less and less, simple, and then you are able to actually be very grateful for what you have. And of course, it's interesting to see. Many people become tired of the whole consume society, and there's this movement of minimalism, and people actually tiny houses and so on. People realize maybe it's nice to have less also, because it gives some peace in mind. So, but that's the whole thing. Wanting less to become more grateful for what we have. So that's little simple living, high thinking. By reducing our needs and increasing gratitude. That's basically a nice formula. And that's certainly what Bharat Maharaj did. He was the emperor of the whole world. Bharat Varsha. He was the ruler of the whole world, and then he just left. Retired. He just left everything and he went to this simple ashram in the forest. So there he lived a very simple life and he was fully satisfied. So giving up material desires and living a simple life, that's the first step. But then also engaging in devotional service. Because just to live a minimalistic life, okay, but maybe the material desire will still come up again. But by engaging in devotional service, then one can become truly satisfied. And of course, rendering devotional service, then this is more the mood of instead of trying to get enjoyment from taking, you're actually getting pleasure by giving. You're giving service, giving selfless service, you find more satisfaction. So Let's just look a little bit at what actually bhakti is and how to perform bhakti. I'll read something. Let's see here. So in Krishna Bhakti there is Swarup Lakshana. Swarup Lakshana means the main symptom. And the word bhakti is coming from the verbal root of bhaj. Bhakti and bhakta and bhagavat. These three words are coming from the verbal root bhaj. And what does bhaj mean? Service, seva. Granting service. Seva to Krishna is called bhaj, bhajan or bhakti. So bhakti means that we render devotional service either to Krishna or to Krishna bhakta. Other than these two, if you're doing someone seva, it cannot be called bhakti. It's kind of, what is bhakti? Bhakti means to serve Krishna. And when we speak of Krishna, it's Rupa Goswami explains that Krishna means Krishna, his expansions, as well as his devotees. They are also. So in that sense, Guru Seva is also bhakti, because Guru represents Krishna. That's why we can speak of Guru Bhakti. We speak of Guru Bhakti. I have love for my Guru, I have bhakti for my Guru. But we cannot speak of bhakti when we talk of worshipping anyone else than Krishna, outside of that. Like if I worship Ganesha, I can't say it's Ganesha Bhakti. Indra Bhakti. I love rain, so I worship Indra Bhakti. That's not, according to Rupa Goswami, that's not Bhakti. Bhakti is specifically meant for Krishna, with the exception that his expansion, which Vishnu, Narayan, and also devotees. Bhakti means that we render devotional service either to Krishna or Krishna Bhakta. So why shall we render bhakti? What is the main reason? The reason is that we want to give some pleasure to Krishna. That is our foremost duty, to give pleasure to Krishna. So that should be the main, the motivation in bhakti. Or in order to make bhakti, our main motivation should be, I want to please Krishna. I want to give pleasure to Krishna. If you are giving pleasure to Krishna, then our human life is becoming successful. If you're not giving pleasure to Krishna, then whatever we may do kirtan, we may do dance, we may do so many activities. If it is not pleasing to Krishna, then this is never considered bhakti. But even we externally engage in devotional service, like doing kirtan or doing some activity, but if it's not done with a desire to please Krishna, you can't really call it bhakti. So like right now, we are doing Shravanam Kirtanam, this is also service. You're listening and I'm speaking, and this activity should be done for the pleasure of Krishna. If it's not done for the pleasure of Krishna, it's not really bhakti. Then it's always good to remind ourselves of that. We may wonder, so how can I do the listening service for the pleasure of Krishna? Krishna, I hope you're pleased by the way I'm listening Bhagavatam. But yeah, that's the idea. Of course, we listen Bhagavatam also for the personal purification. That's kind of it's in a way it's a selfish motivation, but it's sattva guna, like devotional service in sattva. It means that you have a desire for purification. And of course, it's kind of nice. It's okay. But the real devotional service is that eagerness. I understand that Bhagavatam is no different from Krishna. I want to associate with Krishna. I want to come closer to Krishna. I want to please Krishna. That's why I listen to Bhagavatam. That's why I speak Bhagavatam. Like that. So why shall we give pleasure to Krishna? What is the reason for giving pleasure to Krishna? The reason is that Krishna is there only to get pleasure from us. Because Krishna, he is the object of love. He is the one who is meant to receive pleasure. That's basically who he is. That's God. God, by definition, is the person who is meant to receive pleasure. Of course, our community is asking, why not me? Isn't it? If you hear something like this kind of statement, God is meant to be the enjoyer, and every enjoyment is meant for him. Immediately a voice will tell us, wait a minute, what makes him so special that he is in the center, that he should get all the enjoyment. Well, that's because he's God. that's why we need to understand what is the meaning of it. It means that Krishna is the only enjoyer. One who is the enjoyer will get pleasure. He will get all pleasure. Then again the question will come, if Krishna gets all pleasure and we give all enjoyment to him, then what shall we get? Right? It's a good question. Why shall we do all these things for him? What shall we get in return? In return we shall also get pleasure. When a sevak, a servitor, is giving pleasure to his master, then as the master is getting pleasure, simultaneously the servitor or servant is also getting pleasure. And if the master is not pleased, then the servant will never be pleased. Therefore the servant's duty is to please his master, then the servant can get pleasure also. And that's our position. As a jiva, we are, Prabhupada always explained, we are part and parcel of Krishna. Prabhupada gives different examples, like a complicated machine. There's many screws. If a screw fall out of the machine, the screw in itself is useless, but it's put in the right place of the machine. It has its proper function. It's very important. So we are part of a bigger picture, and we are meant to render service as part of the rendering service to the whole. Or the finger are meant to render service to the body by giving the food to the mouth, and then goes to the stomach, and then the finger also is nourished. Like this kind of example Prabhupada gave. So if our activities are pleasing to Krishna, then Krishna is becoming pleased, and we becoming pleased also. Like that. So many discontents, many people run away. Why? They are doing bhakti, so why they run away? If you ask them, they will say, I don't get pleasure in the temple. But why did they get pleasure in the temple? The temple is meant for Krishna. Krishna is present there, and all types of arrangements are there, so that we can do bhakti. But still, you were not getting pleasure. It means that your activities, your bhakti, your bhajan did not please Krishna. Therefore, you run away. Sometimes people, try to find, faults in everything outside. No, the devotee is not nice, the process is not working, this is not good, this and that. But at the end of the day, if people give up the process of devotional service, it's because they have not properly performed the process. Because if you perform the process properly, you will find happiness and satisfaction, because that's the nature of the process. That's just how it works. As when Krishna is pleased, you will be satisfied. Why? Because Krishna is in your heart, and if he is pleased, that pleasure also is given to you. That we speak of Ladini Shakti, which is Srimati Radharani, is the manifestation of that. Ladini Shakti, and her duty or her position is that she gives pleasure to Krishna. But the beautiful thing is, she's not only giving pleasure to Krishna, but she's also giving pleasure to whom? To the devotees. That same Ladini Shakti is giving pleasure to devotees. To which devotees? Those who please Krishna. Because that's what Radharani wants. Radharani wants to please Krishna. And if someone else helping also pleasing Krishna, Radharani is very happy. And she gives pleasure to that person. And we don't find pleasure and happiness in our heart, although we perform devotional service. It means Krishna is not happy, or we are not performing properly. So, in Bhakti there is no Svantantarata, it says here. This Sanskrit word Svantantarata means independence. In Bhakti there is no independence. Sounds kind of heavy. Because in today's world everyone wants to be free, freedom, independence. But here it says, in Bhakti there is no independence. Slight little independence is given, only how to do your service, that's all. Otherwise, no independence. You get some independence to do service. If independence is there, then where will you go? Where is your attraction? The point of attraction is Maya. Maya is the point of attraction. The moment you are not putting Krishna in the center, where our attraction is there, it's by Maya. So bhakti means we depend on whom? We depend on Krishna. And Krishna Bhakta, that's all. If we depend on Krishna Bhakta, then we render bhakti. Otherwise, we cannot render bhakti. So real bhakti, and that reminds me of Dhamma Prasad's This is the Goshti. Remember we had this Easter Goshti the other day? When was it? On Monday. And we reflected on what are we doing good, what are we maybe should improve. And one point was coming up of surrender. And then an ashram environment is meant to teach us to surrender and to, what does it mean? It means to depend. And so this is the same thing which it says here, that if you want to perform bhakti, it's not something you do completely independent, but you do it dependent. What does it mean? It means service is always given. Like any service you do, service is something that you receive from a bhakta. Krishna Bhakta engages you in service. And it's not that, okay, I will do this, and this will please Krishna. No, but it's something which is received. So we have been given independence because we are part and parcel of Bhagavan Krishna. Mamainam so jive loke jiva bhuta sanatana. When Bhagavan says that all the living entities are part and parcel of me, so Bhagavan Krishna is Vibhu, is huge, and we are Anu, tiny. So because we are very tiny, our independence is also tiny. We have independence, but it's small. But the problem is that we have, even although we have only little independence, what have we done with that little independence? We have misused it. And what is the result? We're here. It's your world. We've misused our independence. So how should we engage our independence? It should be used only for giving pleasure to Krishna. And then the example is given. unless, and that's why Krishna gave us some independence. Why? So that we can serve Him. Because you have to do it out of love, and love means voluntarily. The example is given if someone puts a drum in front of that, you should love me. How much emotion can you develop? Like, you can't force someone to love. Sometimes people try that. I've experienced. So someone very eager to. You can't force love. It has to come natural. So Krishna, we are meant to love Krishna, but then there needs to be some independence so that we can love Him. So unless we are given independence, we cannot give pleasure to anyone. Suppose a son is massaging his father's feet. It's an Indian picture, okay? In India, that's what sons do. I don't think in the West. Any son massaging the feet of the father. But in India, that's kind of what is done. Suppose a son is massaging his father's feet. If he is not given independence, he cannot massage nicely. If you tie his hands by a rope and ask him to massage, he will not be able to do that. You will have to give him some freedom, otherwise how can he do it? Nothing can be done if independence is not given. Therefore, minute independence is given to the sevak so that he can do his service nicely for the pleasure of Krishna. That's why Krishna has given us independence. But otherwise, we are meant to serve Him. The only enjoyer is Krishna, and we are not enjoyers. In Sanskrit, it's called Purusha Abhinam. when we develop desire, I want to enjoy, then this is called Purusha Abhiman. I want to be the Purusha. I want to. Abhiman means like the mentality. The ahankara. I mean ahankara, ahankara means I am the doer. Abhiman, I think it's like a, it would be interesting to exactly know what Abhiman, someone knows Abhiman, the exact Sanskrit? I understand it as a kind of an identification, with some like a bar of a mood, it's more a mood. Yeah. So the Purusha Abhiman is that I am the enjoyer. But actually, as we also spoke about several times, enjoyment and renunciation both belong to Krishna. A Vaishnava has nothing to do with neither Bhoga or Tyaga. There's these two terms, Bhoga, Tyaga. Right now there's in Premarupa there is the Kumbh Mela, Maha Kumbh Mela, right? You have millions of Tyagis going there, renunciates, Naga Babas, they're Naga, they're completely naked, just smeared with ashes, and, but it's kind of interesting. In some way, India is quite a complex culture. In some way, India is very, people don't even hold their hands in public or kiss each other. It's like very, sexuality or love life is very much kind of restricted and so. But then you have people walking around naked, like they're the holy men. It's like it's interesting, completely naked, like. Anyhow, so. But they are the Tyagis, they are the renunciates, they have given up everything. And then you have, of course, you have the other extreme, you have those who enjoy life and the Bhogis. But for a Vaishnava, neither Bhoga nor Tyaga is actually. A Vaishnava has nothing to do with either Bhoga nor Tyaga, because he understands Krishna is the only enjoyer, he is the only controller, and he's meant to enjoy everything, everything belongs to him. So if nothing belongs to me, what can I renounce? So understanding that Krishna, and of course we also understand, Prabhupada explains that this is the peace formula. If I understand that Krishna is the ultimate possessor, everything belongs to Krishna, and he is the controller, then I can become peaceful. And again, we're talking of peace of mind. That's why the peace formula here is that one should give up material desires, and one should engage in the service of the Lord, which actually is the paradharma, which is the ultimate natural activity of the soul. But then there is a small print also. Right? If you have a contract, they promise you something. Then there's some small print. What is the small print here? Unmotivated and uninterrupted. Yes, if you render this bhakti, this devotional service, that will be fully satisfying the soul. But how should it be rendered? Unmotivated and uninterrupted. Then it will satisfy the soul. So unmotivated means that, as we discussed, it should be done for the pleasure of Krishna, not with my personal motivations. I don't do something like that. No, just out of a deep understanding who Krishna is. If we really understand who Krishna is, then naturally we want to serve him. How wonderful is Krishna? Let us serve him. That's the natural realization. Then it becomes kind of unmotivated. We just want to serve Krishna because we love him. And it's uninterrupted. It's like the Ganges flows to the ocean. Even if there's some rock or tree, the Ganges finds its way uninterrupted. Or like honey, if you try to. Last week I was sick and was drinking a lot of tea. You take some honey and then you always have the problem with the honey, because there's no stop. Honey doesn't stop. You can't just pour a little honey and then it stops. Then it kind of then where you put the spoon and everything's full of honey. But that's the picture of uninterrupted. It's like a constant flow of service. It's not like now I serve and then tomorrow I just forget about Krishna, just enjoy myself. And then later on again serve a little bit and then again enjoy myself. No, it should be uninterrupted. In a sense that, of course, you cannot always be at a temple and always surrender service. Maybe we have to have some personal needs also. But even these personal needs should always be done in the spirit of I'm a sevak. I'm here taking some break. in order to get more strength to again serve Krishna. Like it's a mentality. And in this way it can be uninterrupted, always thinking of Krishna, trying to serve Krishna. And if you do that, then we can become completely satisfied. And Prabhupada says that he calls this Patram Pushpam Valantoyam, and pointing out that how bhakti is easy, but time is up, and we will talk about this in the afternoon in our Puchali meeting. I think we can talk about this point, Patram Pushpam Valantoyam, also about how bhakti, how Krishna is really interested in that bhakti. But yeah, Bharat Maharaj, when he was in the palace, he offered very opulent foodstuff and opulent worship to the Lord, and when he was in the forest, he just offered little tulsi, little flowers. So according to our situation, we should offer. But if we, probably explains, if we have opulence, we should not just offer Patram Pushpam and say, okay, this is okay. or like in India, they have this little, it comes with sugar, they just take a little bowl, put some little sugar and offer it to the deities, and they themselves eat a big feast. But they don't offer it to Krishna, just like some deepa and some sugar, and that's for Krishna, and they themselves enjoy. That's not the idea. According to our means, according to our abilities, as much as we have, we should offer as much we can. If we don't have, then we do it simple, but if we have, we should give as much we can. That's bhakti, that's what Krishna is looking for. And of course it's about the heart, our mentality. So we spoke about this two-step formula which is given in this text, how to find peace of mind which everyone is searching for by giving up material desires, living a simple life, reducing need, increasing gratitude, and by engaging in Krishna service, then we can find true happiness. Hare Krishna. Any comments or questions?
Thank you very, very much for this wonderful lecture.
Please.
Of course, we know that actually, like you said, Srila Prabhupada said, yeah, if you are not happy and leave the movement, you did something wrong. But then I was thinking, like, especially in your case, you take up so many responsibilities, and sometimes you also say, like, yeah, so many problems are coming and so on. So the devotees are also very unhappy because others are unhappy or others have problems. So is there a clear distinction, like, can you clearly feel like, yeah, okay, this is the unhappiness that comes from outside, but actually I'm very happy, or is this kind of mixing together at one point? And then you feel like unhappy although you are actually serving Krishna.
So your question is how can you remain happy if there's so many problems in this country? Well, of course, the idea is that the more we go deep in our spiritual life, and the more we connect with Krishna, actually experience Krishna, then we do develop inner happiness and satisfaction, which protects us from outside. It's like Radhanath Maharaj says, like it's like an umbrella, like outside is raining, and then in order to protect from the rain, you take an umbrella. So if you meditate or if you connect with Krishna, then that gives you that protection when you go, when you get up from your meditation and you go out into the life in the world where there's so many problems, but because you're connected to the chanting, then you're kind of under the umbrella, you're protected, although there's so much coming. Of course, that depends on the quality of our japa. When we have good japa, then we are also feeling strong and protected. So that's one thing. And then, of course, the more we the more we develop love for Krishna, or our attachment to Krishna, and that same love shows as compassion for others. Like it's the same actually, same love. We develop a relation to Krishna, and then at the same time we also develop more and more compassion. And then in that compassion, yes, we feel pain seeing others in difficulties, and but that kind of pain it's more a pain of love, where we try to help, and it's also this is the burden of love when you also dealing with problems and issues. We try to see it as a service. Like, okay, there is problems, there is issues, there is difficulties. So let us. Like one GBC member told me that he said, if there is a lot of problem and you are a GBC and you can help solving these problems, this is such a nice service. You can serve the Vaishnavas, you can serve the devotees solving problems. It's very nice. I like that positive approach because usually when I think of problems, it's headache. But he was really honest, positive about it. This is a nice. Is Vaishnava Seva. These two devotees were fighting, and after you help them with the mediation, then they are happy again, and their friendship is again there. So then this is a very nice service, which pleases Krishna, which pleases the Vaishnavas. It's a nice opportunity. So I think that's a positive approach to it. But yeah, it's easier said than applied. Sometimes I do feel like it's too much. It does affect sometimes my spirit or the way I feel. It does affect. But what I just said before is the theory, and I'm trying to, we're all trying to go in that direction.
I have another short question. You were mentioning we think we have to get something to do something and then we become happy.
Yes.
But the other way around is like we should do what?
Yeah, I said that we think I need to possess, to do, and then I can be. Right? So I need money, and when I have money, I can do so many things, and then if I do so many things, I can be happy. But when I said the other way around, it's in a sense, if I just be happy, and then I have happiness, and then I can just do whatever is needed, or whatever I need to do, but I'm happy with it. I'm not anymore dependent on what I have or what I do, but I'm simply satisfied in myself, because I am happy. It's not that I have to get something or do something to be happy, but I'm just, basically it sounds strange, but in some ways it's just a decision that you make. I'm happy. It's just in a mindset. And as we described, that true happiness comes from devotional service. If we truly connected with Krishna and serving, then we find that true satisfaction.
So enjoyment is not some.
It's very bad.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna?
Yes.
Okay, so enjoyment is not something negative in general.
No.
Because Krishna is the biggest enjoyer with all senses, and we want to please. Okay.
Prabhupada was once asked, what is the goal of life? And Prabhupada said, to enjoy.
Yes, because people around can also feel if someone is happy, other people feel also.
So the goal of life is to enjoy, but we need to learn how to enjoy. And that was just the topic of the class, in the sense that the way we enjoy is by giving pleasure to Krishna, and Krishna is happy and we also enjoy. But yeah, we want to enjoy, it's natural. And when it comes to sense gratification means something, joy experienced through this body. When it comes to that kind of enjoyment, then Prabhupada gives the example of salt. It just requires regulation, the right amount. We need enjoyment, we need to eat, we need to experience some pleasure to the body. It's very natural. but it should be done with a proper amount. And in today's world, there's no limits, and it's just like going crazy for it. But spiritual life is to reduce and regulate enjoyment. And then find real enjoyment in that relationship with Krishna. And that's Premarupa Swami Vartan, that because you get a higher taste in that, you're also able to reduce the others. So go together.
Yeah, thank you. Very nice words. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, not my words, just repeating. That's the
One question again.
That's the really last thing.
Thank you for the lecture. It's impressionant. My question is, you told before that our mindset should be to be happy when we concentrate us to Krishna. And what do you think what we have to do when we are in the middle from people that have the mindset to be unhappy, to be sick?
Yes, that becomes challenging because, of course, we are depending on association. And we need good association around that helps us. But if you're in an environment where there is, then of course, maybe then it's our duty to try to give happiness to them. It's kind of our role to give association to them. But in order to do that, we need ourselves good association. So that's our responsibility, to make sure that we get good association, so that we can give association in these circumstances. And that's what you're doing, right?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Good, then we'll end here. Thank you very much. Jai Shri Prabhupada ki Jai. की जय हम सब
Ja.
Sie kann es machen.
Und was geht's?
Das hast du mir erwartet gehabt. Sie ist krank. Krishna.